Hi everyone. Today I wanted to show you how to access the virtual desktop on your Chromebooks or whatever computer device you want to use, and specifically to access the Corel Draw for the program we're going to use for designing on our laser engraver to cut out our veneer for our little boxes. To access this virtual desktop, go ahead and get on the internet here, and let's go to the website. It's just view.alpinedistrict.org. Go to that website. Once you get to this screen, you'll go ahead and click on where it says VMware Horizon HTML Access. And at this point, it usually prompts us to log in. I think I've already logged in. Yes, I did, but you'll have to log into your account, username and password. Just don't put the .alpinesd for your username. Just do your regular username. Click on the Skyward Shop VDI. This will get us on the virtual desktop. And if you're not familiar with what a virtual desktop is, again, this is accessing another computer somewhere else in the district here that has some programs on it that we're going to use. And the program we want, if you go down to this little Windows icon here, you could also just type in the search here if you want, but we're going to go to what's called Corel Draw, C-O-R-E-L. It's a little program we're going to use to design and draw some things with. Oh, past it here, right here. Corel Draw Graphics Suite. In here, there's multiple different Corel Draw type of programs. We want this green icon, Corel Draw X6, is the one we're going to use. Oftentimes asks us if we want to become a member and all that. No, we don't need to. You can just X out of that. Yes, for sure, if we don't want to. And then this will open up our Corel Draw. Sometimes it gives you some tips and things like that. If you want to read those, you can. But we're going to first create a new file. So up here on the very top left where it says File, next to View, so File, click on that, we go New, or there's also a little icon just right here, just for New File. Either one of those work for creating a new file. You can give it a name if you'd like. What to save this? I'm just going to save this as my last name here. And then also on the width and height, you need to make sure you type in whatever size board we're going to be designing on. And so for this project, again, that little veneer we're using, that is going to be 7.5 by 4.5. And so you can change those to match that. That way it'll match that box lid size that we're going to be designing on. So 7.5 inches width, 4.5 inches height. We hit OK. And then you'll see this will pop up our surface area that we can design on. Over on the left, you'll notice there are some different drawing tools and other tools we can use to create shapes or to make whatever design we want. A lot of times students want to put like their name on their box lid or other things like that. So there is an icon that's for text right here. If I hover over it, again, it'll tell me what these are. But we're going to go click on text. And if I just click anywhere, then I can just start typing. So maybe I do want my last name on my box, so I can just type out my name. Now we can grab this corner and make it larger or smaller or whatever we want. So maybe you want to have your name on your box. If we select just this little pointer selection tool, then we can just grab our name here and again slide it, move it around wherever you want to position it on your box. If you want something perfectly in the middle, I mean, you can try to get it, but there's a shortcut key. If you hit the letter P on your keyboard, perfectly centered. And so that's a little shortcut. You just have to have it highlighted first. Now if I size this differently, it's going to, again, maybe make it so it's not centered. So I hit the letter P, perfectly centered, if you want to do that. Now maybe I don't want this font. Maybe there's a different font I want. Up at the top, you can change the font to different styles, other things like that. It's kind of hard to see because it's blocking my name. So I'm going to move my name actually off to the side so I can see what it's changing to font-wise when I'm selecting fonts here. And that way I can scroll through these fonts, and again, you can see what it would look like if you wanted to change the font of different texts and things. And so there's all sorts of options on fonts here that you can look through and find one you like. Oh, I don't know. We'll just choose one of these here. So how about that one right there? So we'll just, that's maybe the font I want. Again, letter P will perfectly center it. I like that. That's a good size. Now, we want to trace this words, or even if you're doing an image, we want to make sure it's traced so we can cut it out of that veneer. In order to do that, just select your text, and if you right-click on it, or two-finger click is a right-click, it'll bring up options here, and one of them is Object Properties, which is actually already opened up over on the right-hand side, but we would click on Object Properties, open it up, and then over here on the Object Properties, we would come over here, and the outline says none right now, so I'm going to change that to what's called a hairline. In order for the laser to cut, it needs to be a hairline. If you do a thicker font for your outline, it's not going to cut it. So we got to put on hairline. And then our fill, right now it says uniform fill. I'm going to change that actually to no fill at all. And now you can see it has just outlined, zoom in here a little bit, and you can see just every little line there would now cut our veneer for what that is. And so whatever you design, we need to outline it with a hairline on that as well. And so it's a hairline there, and also get rid of the fill. Okay, now some of you I know probably want to do something other than just some words on here. And so let's go ahead and just, I'm going to move that off to the side here because I might want to use that later. But let's go ahead and get an image on here, because some of you want to choose an image for your project. And so now we could just draw our own image with different line tools and other things like that. That's a little difficult. Most of you want to get on the internet to find an image and maybe copy paste it over, and that works great as well. When we're on this virtual desktop, you need to understand a few things here. You need to do everything on the virtual desktop. You can't just get onto the internet from your Chromebook or laptop or whatever you're using. You need to get on the internet from the virtual desktop. So I'm going to minimize our program here so we can see this is our virtual desktop here, and there's our internet icon here. Now I also have an internet icon on my actual computer that I'm using at the bottom of my screen, but I'm going to use this one on the virtual desktop so that it's easier to copy paste things over. So we can just go to the internet and maybe search for, oh, I don't know, on my box, maybe I want to put a picture of a tree or something like that. So I'm going to search for a picture of a tree. One thing to keep in mind when we're doing these images here, you can go ahead and click on all the images, is we want to try to find an image that's going to be easy to trace, easy to outline. And something like this one, where it has a lot of shaded greens and different things like that, might be difficult to trace. So black and white images are actually going to be the easiest. Now you could just type black and white for tree, or underneath tools here, there's different things that you can search for types of images, or silhouettes are always nice. So maybe we'll try a silhouette, a tree. So okay, so these types of images are going to be a lot easier to trace rather than something that's got a lot of gradients and variations. And so we can scroll through, see if we can find a picture of a tree we like. Oh, I don't know. Let's make this somewhat fun. Let's try this one here. So maybe I want that tree, or whatever image you're doing. Now we can, again, just right-click or a two-finger click and copy image. I'm just going to scroll down. There it is, copy image. And now I want to go back to my Corel Draw. There it is down here. I'm going to just open that back up, and I'm just going to right-click or two-finger click and paste. And so now I can place my tree on here. Now that's a little bit bigger than I need, so I can zoom out and change the size of this tree. And again, if I want it centered, I hit letter P. That'll perfectly center it, and I can kind of get this to fit on my workspace here where I'd like it. That looks pretty good. So I got my tree. Now there's a few things on here I don't like. First off, there's something going on over here. And if I zoom in really close, there's maybe some, oh yeah, there's a little bit of a, some watermark stuff because they don't want us to steal their image. But we'll show you a way that we can just have just the tree outline traced. Okay, first off, let's go ahead and trace this image. So if we select our image, right now it's just an image. This could be a bitmap, this could be whatever, whatever style image it is, JPEG or something like that. But the program, what we need to do is right-click on your image or two-finger click, and one of these options is Outline Trace. Okay, and it's asking what type of image it is. Is it a line art image? Is it a logo? Whatever. Usually I just choose line art, but you can try different ones here, and it has different options. But we're going to just trace this image. So on the top it shows my original image, and then down below it's now traced it, and it's gotten rid of the background and other things. And over on the side, you'll see there's different options for details. Now if we go more detail, it'll be very more specific when it traces it, how detailed it is or less detail. And you can play around with different options on that, smoothing, other things like that. So you can kind of play around with these options to see how much detail it's putting in as it's tracing your images there. So if I go less detail, then it's not having as much when I actually got rid of those words there. So that might be an option for how much detail you're putting in. But it also got rid of some leaves that it wants. So maybe I'll go that amount of detail. It'd also be good to have delete original image selected. That way it gets rid of your original image and only has this one. And I also like to remove color from an entire image. That also just might get rid of any other last little things in the middle. And then we're going to go down and just hit OK down on the bottom of this, and that should go ahead and get us down to there we go. All right, move me back here. Actually, I'm just going to turn this off because I don't think you need me to see my face. All right, so we have traced the image, and what we need to do now, similar to what we did with my name, is we need to make it a hairline just like that and get rid of the fill. And so again, if we right click on our image, we're going to go to Object Properties, and that'll pull that up. And right here for your outline, we need it to say hairline because it was nothing right now, so it's a hairline. And then here's our fill. So we're going to take our fill and say no fill. And now if I look at my image, I have zoomed in and it is just traced everything, gotten rid of the fill, and then all this can now be cut out of our veneer. Now it still has this over here, and there might be some other things that we need to maybe fix or manipulate, like some of these little lines here got extra, and so we'll show you some ways that we can kind of edit this stuff. So again, we can size this differently as we go. Main thing is whatever image you do, you copy paste it in here, and then you need to get rid of the fill, and you need to have the outline traced and then turn it into a hairline for the outline. And so that way it'll cut it. All right, let's show you how to get rid of this part here and maybe clean up some of the other parts of this image, and then we'll be ready to save our file and get it over to the laser to cut it out. So if we select our image, there's multiple ways we can do this. One, over on the left-hand side, there is a crop tool, and you could literally just crop the image what you want to use, and that works great. There's also a little arrow next to some of these icons, which means there's more options. So next to the crop tool, there's one that is if I click on that, a eraser tool. We can erase things. There's a virtual segment delete. I'll show you this as well in a little bit here. But also what we can do is we can actually just right-click on your image, and we can ungroup everything. Now everything is its own object. So if I were to zoom in here and select just this leaf, well, just that leaf is its own object. So now we could actually just go over to these, and now if I just click on it, that one little thing is its own object. But if I want to select multiple parts, I can just click outside and drag. I'm just going to select all that, and you would hit delete. Now on your Chromebooks, I know there's not a delete button. The backspace button doesn't really work, so you could just right-click and hit delete, and that will delete that. Or if your laptop or computer has a delete button, you can hit delete. But backspace, again, doesn't do it. It has to be delete. So that's one way to get rid of things. You can just select it and then delete it on those. So if I'm looking at any of this, if there's some things on here, like maybe some of these leaves have some things that I don't want, like maybe I don't want that little slit right there. I can just select it because it's ungrouped, and I can hit delete. Well, right-click, delete. That, whoop. Undo, Control Z. That is our favorite friend. If you ever make a mistake, we can Control Z, undo that. That was selecting the whole leaf instead of just that one little line. So here's what you can do. That little virtual segment delete, we go to that one, it's like a little knife, and then we can just select certain things and get rid of just certain parts and click on those. So this is kind of nice. You can go through and edit your image if you need to, and so maybe I don't want that little thing right there, I can just delete that little thing. And just with that, it's called the virtual segment delete. And so you can take some time and go through. It depends on your image, what you did for your image, and so we can go through and just click and drag and say, get rid of that virtual segment delete. And I like to zoom in and out on different parts and kind of just see different things. Okay, there's a line there I want to get rid of, and all these. Now again, if you accidentally delete something you weren't supposed to, you're like, shoot, Control Z, and we can undo, right? Because you're going to have to do that often. Now this part is like real close a little bit. We can maybe do a little bit of snipping and things like that, and just kind of editing some of these little things here until we get the image how we like it. All right, I could spend more time just kind of going through that, but next you need to make sure that you group this back together, because everything is its own individual object still. If I select one thing, it's just selecting that. So what we need to do is select the entire thing. Now it's all selected, and we're going to right click. Again, right click is just a 2-finger click, and we're going to group this back together. So now it's all one object. I can move that whole tree around if I want to. Again, I can hit letter P to perfectly center. I can size it how I want. Maybe I want to have, actually, I'm going to move this tree here, and then I'm going to also take my name and add my name down here so I can have my name and my image all on the same board or something like that. Now you could just use arrows to do small movements on this if you'd like. There's also some little numbers up here that you can type in and place your object exactly in the middle. And so if you want this thing exactly in the middle, you know, you can type in an x-axis. Once we're ready and we've got this all designed how we like and placed how we want and positioned where we want, then we need to save this to our virtual desktop, and then it's maybe put it in your Google Drive or something like that. So we're going to go File, Save As, and then it's on the desktop, but again, this is the virtual desktop. So I'm just going to save this as my name or whatever you want. I'm going to hit Save. And then if we close out of this, you should be able to see, there it is right there on my virtual desktop. That is my file that I just created. I need to now place this into my Google Drive. Now here's where students make mistakes sometimes, is they open up their Google Drive from their Chromebook. You need to open up your Google Drive from the virtual desktop. So we can go on the internet from the virtual desktop, log into your Google Drive, and then add a file, and then select this one from the desktop, and then add it. Then you can go over to our laser engraver, log into that, access your Google Drive, and then we can get your program done. Anyway, if you have other questions, I'll help you out. Thanks.